What's up, everyone? I'm Virginie from Better Music, and this is my podcast, Better Minds. On this podcast, we will have conversations about life, health, struggles, and music. I hope this place will make you feel loved and safe, and I really hope this place will make you feel like you can fully be yourself. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to episode 12. Thank you so much for being here. Today I will be talking with the amazing Courtney Cole. We will be talking about yoga and meditation. And if you listened to every episode so far, then you probably noticed that yoga and meditation was so important to me. These things are part of my healing journey, so having this conversation was very meaningful to me. So I hope you like this one, and thank you for being here. The first time I did an interview with you was for your EP in 2020.
100 years ago, probably. Yeah.
Yes, it was. I always loved your voice.
Thank you. I really appreciate you always being willing to share my music. It really means a lot.
I did my best.
You did wonderful.
Sometimes I just don't see everything because there's so much music.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine.
I try my best. I really wanted to talk to you about yoga and meditation and all this stuff because I know you're really into this.
Yes.
And I started yoga 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get back to meditation. But I want to learn from you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Because I want to be better at this. You know, I want to know how you do it. So
yeah, well, that's very nice. I will tell you first off. I know absolutely nothing, but I can.
You probably know more than me.
But I would love to point you in the right direction. Yoga and also how it kind of intersects with music too has been just profoundly life-changing in my life. And so I'm so happy. I could talk about it all day long. So let's do it.
Oh, I was waiting for this conversation because I've been talking about yoga on every episode. So what is yoga?
Well, yoga has a way. Yeah. Well, first of all, yoga has this way, like when you start to just get even just like a little drop of yoga, how it expands in your life is really, really beautiful. Just for me, I'll just tell you, when I lived in Nashville and I was recording country music at the time, there was a hot yoga studio right down the street for me that I started going to, and it was like dipping my toe into yoga, and it was just based on like the postures and the movement aspect of yoga, and even that started to kind of plant a seed in me that started to grow, and it evolved into really starting to try to master my mind and my energy, and ended up becoming like this beautiful spiritual practice. And so I just think no matter where you dip your toe into yoga, that it's a seed that gets planted, and then it grows and grows and grows. And for me, yoga is, so just a little background. I studied the philosophy of yoga off and on for 3 years in a little town called Rishikesh in India, and that's when I really wanted to like dive deeper into yoga. And what really shocked me, I think, was when they told me when I got there that yoga was actually like just the physical practice of yoga was just the tip of the iceberg. And I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, because here in the United States, I don't know how it is where you are in France, but yoga is like Lululemon and getting all cute and getting great abs and having, you know, really fit arms, and it's a great workout routine, you know. But what I really started to see in India was that yoga actually in Sanskrit means unity. And you can say, okay, well, that sounds really kumbaya and wonderful, but what's unity? And what it means is that you have this ego state, this identity that we create just by being human and through our experience in this five sensory world, that we take all of this information and we pull it in and we make it define us, right? As I'm Courtney and these are my preferences and these are my beliefs and this is what I've gathered through my trauma and my pain and my joy and all this stuff. And this is what makes me me. And we identify with this ego consciousness. But what yoga is knowing that even though we've created this personality, there is this deeper consciousness, this all-pervading awareness that rests underneath this state. That is everything. And it's this unity consciousness, this cosmic consciousness, this greater field of awareness that this ego consciousness, this construct can dissolve into. So when you start to get really identified with the fluctuations of the mind and the highs and the lows and the happiness and the sadness and all this stuff, you can just sink right beneath that to just the awareness of it all and merge that ego consciousness with that unity consciousness, that cosmic awareness. And that is yoga, that merging of it, that union of just being in this physical world, but also not of it, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
It blew my mind learning that. Right? Because we really get so stuck in the physical aspect of it, which is a really important part. It is an important part. There's 8 limbs of yoga. And I mean, we could go into that if you want to.
Please. So, oh my gosh. Okay. I want to learn.
Well, there's the eight limbs of yoga, and it's not like steps. It's like this whole overarching kind of lifestyle, right? You have the yamas. So the first limb is the yamas, right? So the yamas is kind of like just kind of like restraints, things like ways that you're going to kind of like control the mind, your energy. And then you have the second limbs, which is the niyamas, which is going to be more like moral practices, ways that you want to kind of show up in the world, that are kind and clean, you could say. And then once you kind of go below that, you start to get into the physical practice. It starts to turn into almost a way to prepare yourself for meditation. So you have asana, which is going to be the physical practice. Mm-hmm. So in traditional yoga, you have these postures that are only supposed to prepare you to sit for longer periods of time in meditation. So that's all that it was. It was never supposed to be like these classes that you go to for an hour and just like, feel flexible and do a back bend and then go home. It was supposed to be a way for you to really dive deep into meditation. So that's all that asana is. And then after that, you go into pranayama. So you've probably heard of pranayama. Pranayama is like breath control, right? Which is when we can calm our physical body, when we can lose identification with the senses of our body, we can turn our attention in and bring our energy in to just focus on the breath. So you can focus on the inhale, focus on the exhale. And because you've lost through that asana, through that physical practice of yoga, you've lost that identification with the body, you can focus in more on the breath without being like, oh, my arm hurts. Oh, my neck hurts. Oh, my legs hurt. You just start to breathe. Focus on the inhale, focus on the exhale. Focus on the inhale, focus on the exhale. And when you do that and you bring that attention inward, you come to that fourth state of yoga, that fourth limb, which is called pratyahara, which is complete disassociation with the senses. So that five sensory world starts to kind of tune out, and all of your focus from this outside world starts to turn inward. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you kind of shut out that outside world. And then let's see. And then once you kind of shut out that outside world, you can really start to focus inward. So that's called dharana. Dharana in yoga means focus. So a lot of times, I don't know if you've heard this, in yoga, we focus at the third eye center.
Yes.
And we can focus on the breath. So this is just drawing your energy to this transcendental wisdom, this transcendental point here where you can start to breathe up the spine, bringing the energy there and then bringing it back down. So you're still using your breath, but you're just really focusing your energy inward, 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 inward. So you're focusing. And the longer that you sit there and you focus, it goes into that next limb of yoga, which is called dhyana. It just starts to happen. Dhyana in yoga means meditation. So as long as you focus, you're starting to shut out those senses. You start to turn that energy inward, and then you have dhyana meditation. That just starts to happen. The mind starts to calm down. It goes away. All those crazy thoughts. And then from dhyana, you go into samadhi, which is complete absorption into spirit. I feel like I missed one. Let's see, I'm looking it up now just to make sure that I didn't. No, I didn't. I did good. So after dhyana, yes. So dhyana meditation is when the mind stills, and then you go into samadhi, which is complete absorption. It is that yoga point, right? That where the mind kind of stops, that ego dissolves, and that you kind of go into that unity state.
Have you reached that point?
Oh my gosh, have I reached that point? I have gotten glimpses of that point, and I'm aware of that place every single day, every single moment of my life. But to say that I have completely rested in that state, I don't know. I think that state is not a destination, if that makes sense. It's not this place that you are. If you're just seeking and striving to get to that place, then you're in the ego. Because that place is what you are, right? So have I been able to get out of my ego enough to be completely dissolved into unity consciousness? No, because that's my work here on this planet. I think that's all of our work here on this planet, is to realize that the stories that we tell ourselves aren't always true. And so you can't look at reaching that state as a destination. What you have to realize is that state is naturally what you are. So in order to, I hate using the word achieve, it's not that, but in order to constantly discover that within you more and more and more, I think you just have to be aware, and you just have to realize that everything that you're attaching to is only something that you're attaching to. Does that make sense? And so the more and more that you can kind of clear out those attachments and just keep letting go and keep letting go, the more and more that state is just going to wake up within you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And you said you knew nothing.
I don't. But see, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing that's so incredible about this. That's the thing that's so incredible about this is the more and more that I dive into this work, the more and more that I realize how big it is, you know, and how small I am. Just how small my energy, who I am, is actually incredibly big. You are, you know, everybody is. But my mind is so limited and it's so small. And so all that I thought I know, I didn't, you know, and then the more that I do know, the more I realize I don't know anything at all. And so I'm just trying more and more and more every single day to just be open and let this energy and this truth of stillness and just beauty just pour into me every single day and make, you know, all my constructs just a little bit less. And that energy more.
Wow. So what made you want to start yoga in the first place?
Wow, that's a good question. Like I said, I think it was just probably there was a studio down the street and I wanted to get in good shape. But the truth is that that's the short answer. But the truth is I've always been a very spiritual person and I've always been a truth seeker. I want to know the truth of everything. And I knew for a very long time, like when I was young, that a lot of the stuff that I was being told and that I was telling myself just didn't feel true. So I had to figure out why it didn't feel that way. And so that sent me on this long spiritual journey, which was really hard and really dark and really scary at a lot of times. And I would say that kind of it all came to a head for me probably around 2014, 2013, 2014, somewhere in there, where I was like noticing a lot of like my family systems were kind of weird and out of whack. And I was having a lot of nightmares and reprocessing a lot of stuff that had happened to me, like in my childhood through my dreams. And they were really scary dreams. And then I had this one dream one night that was absolutely life-changing. And I tell you, like I said at the beginning of this interview, once you get a drop of yoga, it just expands. This was like me being baptized in yoga, this dream. I'm not kidding. Like I went completely underwater with this dream, where I was floating through outer space and it's just, so I was completely sober. I was floating through outer space in this dream, and long story short, I witnessed myself as everything. I could feel everything moving within me in the universe. I could feel my arms and my legs and my body, but I couldn't see them. I just extended as far as infinity could go, and I could feel myself just as everything. And I felt, and where my heart would be in my chest, I could feel just this like unexplainable feeling of love and peace, and just like everything was okay, and that this was all extremely purposeful. Like I woke up in a bit of an existential crisis that morning, and my life after that, I didn't really tell many people about this dream, and because I didn't really know what to think of it or what to do with it. And what was wild is that from that point on, and it didn't make sense to me at the time, but my life started dismantling in ways that I couldn't even imagine, from my family to my career to, everything, relationships, to the point where I thought my whole world was falling apart. If you listen to my music, my song Earthquake is actually about that. just everything just came tumbling down, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what it all meant. But now looking back, I saw, I'm 7 years or more than that. Gosh, 9, 10. Oh my gosh, 10 years, 11 years removed from that. I don't know. Wow. I can't do math. I shouldn't do math in public. But yeah. And now I can see that dismantling was me dismantling all the things that my ego was clinging to. And that I had to lose those identities in order for me to get to a space in my life where I realized that I wasn't that. And that I'm so much more than that. And I have so much more purpose than I realized. And I can see that now, but then I didn't know what was going on. And so that's my bigger experience with yoga. But when I lived in Nashville, I found that yoga studio, and that was my introduction into the practice of just, okay, this is part of the practice. This is part of the system, and it inspired me to learn and go deeper into that. So that's a long answer, but that's the truth.
I love that.
I told you I could all say about this.
And what kept you going? So I'm sure you practiced yoga every day since then.
Yeah, when I say I practice yoga every day, that doesn't necessarily mean that I do a downward facing dog every day. No.
Yeah.
If that's the kind of yoga that you're referring to, no. I don't do that every single day. What I do, how I practice yoga every single day is I connect every single day. I connect to that unity point. And I do that through a lot of times meditation. Meditation for me in the morning is my way to establish myself in that unity consciousness that we talked about at the beginning here. I establish myself in that every single day. So do I practice yoga every day? Yes, because yoga goes beyond just those physical poses. I use those physical poses sometimes to go deeper into meditation. Yes. But for me, living yoga every day is just being aware of that unity point, of that greater consciousness.
And what is meditation?
What is meditation? That's a big question. Meditation can mean a lot to different people. But I would say to me is basically just what I said, establishing yourself in that unity state. And those 8 limbs of yoga really help you to get there, right? They help you prepare the body to be able to access that point and just sit in awareness, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm trying to meditate and I just, I just can't. I can't do it because I don't feel peaceful. It's like, well, meditation isn't about just being peaceful. It's not about being peaceful. It's not about, peaceful is a state, right? So you can be peaceful or you can be chaotic. You can be happy. You can be sad. These are all part of the fluctuations of this reality, which is duality, right? But remember I talked about that ego consciousness really gets attached to those states. But that unity consciousness, that yogic state goes beyond all fluctuation, goes beyond all duality. So you're not searching to just be peaceful. You're searching to be aware, to go beyond the fluctuation and just sit in awareness. Because at the heart of everything, that's what we are, is just pure awareness. So if you can get to that state where the mind is calm and it goes beyond those fluctuations and just rest in awareness itself, to me, that is meditation,
Mm.
just silencing the mind.
Yeah. I started meditation because I suffer from anxiety and
Yes.
stress. So I've been trying to do that more every day.
Yeah.
And it does help.
It does help.
It does help. I just needed to do it every day. Sometimes I just want to do it all day. Because I think too much sometimes, and I need my mind to calm down. So I want to be able to be better at meditation, I guess. But I think I need to practice more. I don't know.
No, to be better at meditation is just to do it. Just to sit down and do it. And just because the mind's not calming down doesn't mean you're failing. That's not all you have to do, even if you can just sit back and just watch your thoughts. That's because the mind's going to do that, right? The mind's job is to think, and the mind's job is to make stories, and the mind's job is to process everything that's happening, right? And so as long as you can be aware, there's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing that you have to control. There's nothing that you have to, all you have to do is really just sit behind those thoughts, as almost if like you are, you know how like when you sit in a movie theater, you're watching the movie in front of you, right? You can, if you want to, get really attached to the characters, and you can feel the emotions of the characters, and you can like be in it, and you can be like, oh my gosh. And for like an hour and a half, you're just like really in the movie, you know? But then the credits roll, and they play the last song, and the lights come up, and then you realize like, oh, I wasn't in that movie at all. I was just sitting here watching the movie, you know? And then you go about your day. Meditation is a lot like that, where it's like, and you can do this all throughout your whole day, where you can just sit and watch your mind like you're watching a movie, and you can watch it do all its crazy things. You can watch it be anxious. You can watch it be happy. You can watch it be sad. You can watch it go from one crazy thought to a completely different thought in just like a split second, and just you can just sit and watch it. But if you could just be that person sitting in the movie seat, and instead of getting attached to the movie, just sit back and watch the movie and let the movie be the movie, that's meditation. Just being aware of your mind is all that you need to be doing.
I get it. Because sometimes I meditate and I have all these thoughts, and I keep letting those thoughts. And I think that's a good thing to do. And then at some point, I just don't think anymore. And then and then I want to keep going.
That's right. And you're doing it. You don't need to be better.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're already doing it. I mean, it really is that. And it's amazing, like, what happens when it's amazing what happens when you can sit and watch that, and you don't have to process what's going on while you're watching it. But afterwards, and as the day goes on, you can start to see like just the way that your mind works. And that's just information. And you can use that information to really kind of dismantle the things that you're attaching to, and the ways that, you know, that you're working to evolve and expand. It's just all wonderful, purposeful information that you're gathering just by watching.
True. I'm going to keep doing that. It's still changing, though. I learned a lot from myself by doing that. And yoga, I started yoga because I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease.
Oh, sorry.
And I thought that it would help me. And it did help me for some reason. But that's why I kept going for 4 years, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do this every day because I just feel better now.
I love that. I love that so much. It is crazy. It's amazing because it's a physical practice, it's a mental practice, or spiritual practice, and it's a physical practice in a sense of like how or did I say energetic? I meant physical, mental, and energetic practice. I don't know which ones I've said. But it is all of those things. It touches every aspect of the body, and even just doing the poses and the breath work and all of that stuff. You're shifting your energy, so you're moving stagnant energy that does make us sick and that does keep us stagnant. So it's really, really powerful. And the mind on top of that directs where that energy goes. So it's a really, really powerful tool. I don't think we realize how powerful we really are, and just how more energetic beings that we are, over anything. So it's really incredible.
It is incredible. I stopped taking my medication because I got kind of healed by doing all this stuff.
That's wonderful.
So that's crazy. And I'm trying to open my throat chakra.
Yes.
My autoimmune disease is linked to my thyroid. So I've been trying to speak my truth a bit more, and it's helping.
That's beautiful. I love to hear that. How are you doing that? Like through the podcast? And do you sing?
I don't sing.
I bet you do.
Well, I do. But yeah, it's more about speaking my truth. Doing this podcast is me talking about everything I've always wanted to talk about. And those are the things I don't really talk about in general. With the people in this town, for example, or people in my family. I never get to be myself, and I think it got stuck in my throat somehow. This is what I'm trying to understand these days, but I think I'm getting there.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that, because not sharing you is the way that probably you received like love in a way, just by kind of pleasing and appeasing other people and staying small.
Yeah.
So that does take a toll on somebody, especially like basic human needs are just wanting to be seen and heard and understood for exactly who you are and what you love. And yeah, that takes a toll on the mind, the body, the whole system.
Yep. How did yoga and meditation change your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I told you it kind of dismantled everything for me. And that's the truth. And so, like I said, for a while, it made me feel like my whole life was turned upside down, and just emptied out and cleared. And so I had to start rebuilding my life in a way that was had more healthy habits. I really realized that I was kind of going about doing even just like my favorite thing in the world is to create music. And the way that I was going about doing all of that was from just like a really kind of like hurt place, and a place of just really trying to be seen and understood and make people like proud of me, which really took a toll on my self-worth when it didn't always do that, And so I had to really kind of dismantle a lot of like my ego structures and my why, and yeah, so it shifted how I show up in my career. It shifts how I show up in my relationships, how I show up in my family, and yeah, so it's changed every aspect of my life, every single aspect of my life, and just makes me just a lot more of I think like a grounded, like joyful person. I just don't take things as seriously anymore, and I'm just learning to have a really good time and just realize that that we are so much more than we think we are.
We are beautiful.
We are.
And how do you create music?
Yeah, it's something that I'm actually kind of working on that relationship now. It's like a current and process thing. I mean, it all is, but I think for a really long time, I kind of like demanded music to come to me in a way that was going to like validate me or like make me famous or like do something for me, make me money, and that's changed now. Instead of trying to just write songs to get like #1 hits or anything like that, like I'm really just writing from like a truer place. I'm writing from my healing. I'm writing from a place that doesn't always like make sense, like I just have been really establishing myself, I think, in that unity spot, in that unity consciousness, and just allowing whatever wants to arise for me to arise. So sometimes that means that nothing's there. Sometimes that means I need to wait. Sometimes there's just like an overflow of energy there that just wants to come out. So I'm just learning to listen from a deeper place, and also just healing my relationship with music, just knowing that not demanding that it needs to come every day at 11 a.m. for a writing session like I used to do, but just I sit with it every day, and I kind of place my hand on my heart, and I just say, I'm open, and I'm here, and I'm ready to receive whenever you're ready to come through, and learning to trust that. So I'm in the process of really learning to trust that process.
Please trust that process.
Yes.
So what's the story behind your song, Jealous of Birds?
Jealous of the Birds is such a special song to me. So, man, it's like a deeply human song. I wrote it actually like in 2015. Wow, I'm realizing 2015 was 10 years ago, which means 2014, 13 was 12 years ago. So I'm correcting my math. I'm correcting my math from earlier. Oh, whatever. I quit math in public. Anyway, I wrote it in 2015, and I was on tour with a country artist named Miranda Lambert at the time, and it was like probably one of my biggest moments of my career. Just being on
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was like, thank you. And yeah, we did I did a whole tour with her, and it was so incredible. And we were it was after one of the shows, and she always would have like, little after party kind of get together vibes. Like there would be like a fire pit outside or something. We'd all get together and just chat and talk about the show and whatever. And I couldn't stay long because I was a new artist, and I was traveling in a van, and we had to drive all night to get to the next venue. And so I was exhausted. I hadn't slept very long, and because we had been driving through the night for several nights before that, and it was just exhausting life. I was sleeping in motels that were absolutely disgusting. Like tour life, when you're a new artist, is just not glamorous. And she's got this big, beautiful bus, and she's like living like the artist dreams and all of that. And I, told her goodbye, and she was like, I really admire you for doing this whole, van life thing and traveling and doing this. She goes, I really miss those days, and sometimes I wish I could like go back to those times. And I just looked at her like she was crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you have a tour bus, and you can like shower after your show, and you can sleep in a bed and wake up the next morning and get to the next venue. Like, you're telling me you wish that you could do what I'm doing right now? And I just really sat with that. And it was like a few weeks later, I was sitting at home, and I was thinking about that, and I was actually sitting outside, and I was watching the birds fly, and the first verse kind of dropped in just, I'm jealous of how high you fly. I'm jealous of how far you go. I'm jealous of that open sky, the way you see the world below. Just talking about the kind of the people in life that you look at who you think they have it all. But also realizing that everybody's kind of in their own process, and that, you might be jealous of the people who are doing higher, flying higher than you, but sometimes they're looking at you wishing that, they were in your shoes. And everybody's just in their own process. So it's just like a really deeply human song. And just really just kind of showed me, I guess, just about life and how the stories in our own head can create certain stories in our mind, and we just have to be happy and be present with where we are in life, and that we can always find happiness when we do that, and just be grateful for where we are in our own process.
Wow, beautiful. I love this song so much.
Oh, thank you. I like it too.
I hope so. And a question, how do we stay present? Because I'm always in the future.
I know, right? Me too. I do that too. How do we stay present? I think it's just exactly what you just said is a great thing. You notice it, and you notice that your mind's going to take you there, and that your mind is starting to create stories that haven't even happened yet. I did that the other day. I got really, really ahead of myself on something, and I started creating all these scenarios of what was going to happen, and I got anxious and all this stuff, and I was just I caught myself in the middle of it, and I was like, you're doing it, man. Brain, what's going on? Like, you're creating all these stories that haven't even happened yet, and you're causing your own suffering. You're causing your own suffering. So just let it go. Do the next right thing in the moment that you're in, and let it take you let the future meet you. So I think it's just showing up for the need of the hour, and doing the next right thing, and catching yourself when you get too far ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do every day.
Yeah, me too.
Because we all have stuff to do every day. And I always do everything I need to do. I don't stop and think too much. Well, I try not to. But yeah, we kind of live in the present.
We do, not in the past, not in the future. None of that's happening right now. What's happening is only this.
I am more in the future somehow, not really in the past.
That's good. That's good. That's good. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that's available to us right here and right now when we just can kind of focus on it and observe it and open ourselves up to it.
Yeah. And we have to breathe.
Yes.
That's also life-changing.
Yes, breath is so important. It's how it's keeping us here. It's keeping us alive, keeping us healthy.
I didn't know how to breathe properly before.
No. And probably not deep enough, right? Like, yeah, that's for me, I just God, I haven't been breathing right in decades. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
It's changing everything when you take deep breath.
I know. It's the best medicine.
It is. You can actually lower your stress. And even when I do a blood test, I breathe for like 5 minutes. And my blood test is good.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes. Feed that blood with oxygen, baby.
Well, it works for my condition. I don't think it works for everything, but
yeah, no, it does. Yes. Breath is incredible for sure.
Yeah, I just have a sign right in front of me that says, just breathe. So I don't forget about that.
Oh, I know. It just made me take a deep breath. It feels so good.
I have one last question.
Sure.
My podcast is called Better Minds. So what are the things you do every day to have a better mind?
Yeah. I think this definitely brings this whole conversation full circle, and I'm just going to go back to say establishing yourself in that unity point, in that unity consciousness for me is a game changer, because if I can do that every single morning and I can establish myself in that unity center and realize that the stories of my ego are just stories of my ego that I've created and that I've pulled from this experience to just define me in a certain way and make me feel safe and make me feel, a certain way. I can take myself a lot less seriously. I can take the world a lot less seriously, and I can love so much deeper. I can show up for people in a different way. I can be a lot more present, and just hold myself in this whole experience in a different light. And to me, that just really changes how I show up in every aspect. And I think for me that's really the core of it.
That's powerful. I'm gonna keep doing yoga.
Good. Keep doing it.
I want to get to a point where I worry less.
Yes.
Because that's my biggest struggle right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean I get it. And I think the only thing that you can do in that is it starts with the awareness, right? So asking yourself why. And is it because of things that you are just creating about your future that haven't happened yet? And if that's the case, what feels good for you to come back into the present moment and do whatever you need to do in this moment now to feel safe, feel secure, and do the next right thing that's going to meet that future in a way that feels more stable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here and for always listening and sharing my music. It means a lot to me.
Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. Yoga, meditation, and breath are a part of my healing journey. My podcast is called Better Minds because I think we all go through difficult things in life, but we do have the power to heal and to have a better mind every day. I'm still learning about my body and my mind. The healing journey never ends. I also want to say that I did stop taking medication for my autoimmune disease, not because I chose to do it, but because my doctor told me to. I don't want people to think that you can stop taking your medication just by doing yoga and without the approval of your doctor. Yoga and meditation and having a healthy lifestyle and dealing with my traumas were a part of my healing journey. It's a constant battle. This disease may come back, and that's what keeps me going. It's a lot of work and patience and sacrifice, but it's working for me. I started yoga for the physical part, but yoga has also impacted my mind in the best possible way. What I learned from this conversation is the awareness. To be aware of what we're going through, to be aware of our thoughts and emotions are so important, and I am going to keep working on that. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this conversation. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of your mind and see you soon.